Hello students, once again welcome to my new video. Today I am going to teach you functions in C++. What I have written over here is function and then empty bracket. This empty bracket is a symbol of function in C++. Until now we have learned unit number 1, sequential programs and conditional program and repetitive programs. All our programs being started with void main and empty bracket, starting with opening brace and concluding with closing brace. Today I am going to teach you about the functions in C++. Now this function is a self-contained block of statements which can be tested and coded and executed separately. Once the function is developed in C++, that function can be used in other programs also. There are two types of functions: user-defined functions and library functions. In user-defined functions, you have to write the code for that function. Whereas in library functions, the code has already been written in that function. We do not have to write any code for that function. For example, sqrt is one function, square root. If you want to calculate square root of any number, then if you want to calculate the length of any string, then strlen is also one of that kind of functions. So in short, functions are a self-contained block of statements which can be executed separately and tested separately. Whenever we want to write any function, there are three steps. One, to prototype or declare a function, to call that function, and to define that function. In C++, there are three types of functions used. First one is call by value, then default arguments, and inline functions. Today, first of all, I am going to teach you the first type, that is call by value. If I want to calculate the average of three numbers using AVG function. So this is AVG and empty bracket means this is my AVG function, and this function helps to calculate the average of three numbers. So first statement is right here, look at here, int avg, int x1, int x2, int x3 and semicolon. So this is the data type of my function, avg is my function name, and these are called as arguments of this function. This is called as declaration of function or prototyping of that function. Always we have to use semicolon over here. Then again we will jump to void main, int x1, x2, x3, cout, enter three numbers, then we will get the data from this statement cin x1, x2, x3. Then I have written over here is like that, cout avg is equals to avg x1, x2, x3. This is called as calling a function. Whenever we call any function, what we have to do is to just exclude the data type of the function as well as the arguments. So I have written over here avg x1, x2, x3. This is my main program. After declaring a function and calling a function, the next step is to define that particular function. So declaration and defining are the same. What is the difference? Difference is that while declaring any function, we will have to use semicolon. While defining any function, we do not have to use that semicolon. This is called as function defining. We can write over here, these are my comments line. This is called as function defining. Okay. Then what I have written over here is that return x1 plus x2 plus x3 upon 3. So this is call by value. This is the introduction of my first example, that is call by value of a function. Next coding I will talk about is that default arguments. So in next program, in next coding, I am going to show you the default arguments. Okay. Now second unit is default arguments. In default arguments, it is same as call by value. What we have to do? We have to just pass the values while calling that function. We have passed avg 10, 20, 30. It means that we are passing these fixed values to that function, and accordingly it will calculate the average of three numbers. Okay, thank you. Okay, now inline functions. Whenever you declare a normal function, it takes some time to declare that function, call that function and define that function. In inline function, we have to define that function directly by writing the keyword inline. Just define that function and call that function. It is called as inline functions. And now we will see all these programs, 3 programs on the computer.